Good morning, everyone. This is me, Manvi Srivastav, and let's take a look at today's current affairs. Today, we are covering four news articles. These will be looked at from the lens of prelims and mains both. The first news article says that the Digital India mission, which was launched in 2015, has completed 11 years. The launch was 2015, which is important. The ministry was Ministry of Electronics Information Technology. The implementing agency was the Department of Electronics and Information Technology. The aim was to use technology to make life easier for every Indian. Every Indian's life should be made easier by the use of technology. These are a few outcomes of the mission, which are not as important as the 9 pillars of the mission that we are going to take a look at. Here are a few of the pillars. The first pillar is the broadband highways. Now, the pillar broadband highways talks about BharatNet, which connects about 2.25 lakh gram panchayats. It talks about BharatNet. This is important. The pillar 2 is about the universal access to mobile connectivity, which talks about broadband internet subscriber base that has increased from 106.58 crores at the end of March 2026. The third pillar is talking about the public internet access program, which has actually caused to function 6.5 lakh common service centers and 1.6 lakh post offices that now deliver digital services, e-governance, and banking. These are 6.5 lakh common service centers, and these are 1.6 lakh post offices that actually increase the public internet access. Now, the fourth pillar is talking about e-governance, which talks about the reform being brought in the government through technology. It talks about reforming the government through technology through use of DigiLocker, Gati Shakti portal, etc. These are talking about the reform, and the reforms are being brought through technology. The fifth pillar is the e-Kranti. The e-Kranti pillar talks about the electronic delivery of services to the doorstep. E-Sanjeevani is one such service, that is electronic delivery of healthcare services. And then the second service is e-Court, which talks about online tracking of case status and judgments. This is called the e-Kranti pillar. The next pillar, that is the pillar number 6, is called the information for all, which is probably being missing here. This is the seventh pillar. The sixth pillar will be information for all, which is through MyGov. The seventh pillar is electronic manufacturing. The electronic manufacturing has actually increased from 1.5 lakh CR. This is LCR, which means lakh CR, from financial year 2015 to 12 lakh CR to March 2026. Do you see the increase? It is almost 10 folds. So today's India is world's second largest mobile phone manufacturer. This has been made possible through the Digital India mission, which just completed 11 years. And this is reflecting the growing role of India in global electronic value chains. The pillar we were talking about, that is the information for all, which I thought we have missed, is here. The pillar number 7, that is information for all. The My Government platform is the one that it is talking about. Now, this platform, what it does is it creates a direct link between the citizen and the government so that democracy and the governance cannot be one sided, and it runs as a participatory form, which includes conversation flows from both sides. Now, the next pillar, that is the pillar number 8, is called IT for jobs. So, India's 2,100 plus global capability centers employ around 26 lakh professionals across engineering, analytical, cybersecurity, and AI driven roles. What are these global capability centers? These are centers that are located overseas, and these train in skill, and these make people employable, and these also employ people. So, this is also contributing in IT and job creation. And the last pillar, almost the last pillar, is the early harvest program. This is the last pillar, pillar number 9, early harvest program. What is the early harvest program? The early harvest program has quick impact initiatives like the biometric attendance, the PM Vani, public PM Vani. What does the PM Vani stand for? We'll discuss in a while. The biometric attendance, PM Vani, e-books, SMS weather alerts, and these are actually things that early harvest means as soon as they come in action, they create an impact. The biometric attendance, as soon as you punch your thumbprint in it, or your eyes, or your cornea, it instantly takes the attendance. The impact is instant. PM Money is public Wi-Fi hotspots. In these, small vendors like tea stalls, mobile phone vendors, recharge stalls, they also offer Wi-Fi services. ebooks, you can just buy them and read them right away. SMS weather alerts, as soon as the weather conditions deteriorate, you get an immediate alert. These are called the early harvest programs. Now, all of this has created together a startup ecosystem. The Startup India and Atal Innovation Mission drive deep tech growth. These both missions combined together have driven the technology of India to a new level. There are 12 semiconductor plants that are now taking shape across India, which is actually a very good news. Now, the next thing we'll talk about in here is JAM Trinity, where J stands for Jandhan accounts, A stands for Aadhaar, and M stands for mobile internet. And this is actually showing an achievement that is contributing to the inclusive digital governance, where Jandhan account numbers have increased from 14.72 CR to 57.78 CR. This has occurred in the duration of 11 years, that is March 2015 to February 2026. And during the same duration, 2010-11 to 2026, the Aadhaar enrollments have increased from 0.42 crore to 144 crore. Now, 144 crore is a very important number, and you have to remember this because this will come in your essay writing, answer writing, mains, and what not. This is a very important number. We have read this time and again. The second thing and the last thing that is JANM is mobile internet. Now, when we talk about mobile internet, we have to understand that mobile internet has actually changed drastically. Even the access, the costs, and everything has changed. And these have collectively contributed to the digital inclusiveness. So, when we talk about mobile internet, let us look at the internet access has changed from 25.15 CR to 109.27 CR. Also, there's one very important snippet. The UPI's global footprint has extended now to 9 countries. There are 9 countries in which UPI is present, and Cambodia is the latest addition. Which is the latest addition? Cambodia. This is a one word, simple, low hanging fruit kind of question. You cannot just miss it. Next, proceed. This is about UPI and affordable data. As the years went by, we have seen that data has become quite affordable. There's a sharp decline in the cost of mobile data. In 2014, when you used to buy data, 1 GB of data costed around 308 rupees. 308 rupees. And now in 2022, just a few years ago, 1 GB data costs less than 10 rupees. So this has also caused low data cost, and which has indirectly led to the rise of UPI. So the UPI access in 2016 and 17 was 2 crores. And now in financial year 2025 and 2026, it has jumped up to 24.162 crores. These are the number of transactions. Not 24 point, I'm really sorry about that, 24,162. The number is so huge that even my own eyes cannot believe it. Look at the number. 2 crores to 24,162 crores. Every second digital transaction in the world takes place in India. Isn't it interesting how the digital connectivity, how the digital access has transformed our lives? Now let us look at the significance of e-governance in India. Now, when we talk about the significance of e-governance in India, the first thing that we talk about is improving the interdepartmental cooperation and the coordination. And uska, the best example of which is PM Gati Shakti. What PM Gati Shakti does is that integrates over 15 ministries for infrastructure planning. We often observe that roads are being built and digged up for the electric lines. Then they are digged up again for the pipelines. Then the pipes are broken and then the roads are ment and then they are digged up again because somehow there was a leakage. All of these things, what if all these ministries could coordinate? So for this coordination, we have the PM Gati Shakti. And PM Gati Shakti hence is a significant example of things that e-governance can change. Then we have improving efficiency. The e-governance can improve efficiency. That is why it is significant. This is GEM, that is Government e-Marketplace. Government e-Marketplace. This is a platform for public procurement. It does not involve receipts, it does not involve paper. Public can procure the goods. ONDC, Open Network of Digital Commerce, Open Network for Digital Commerce. It improves market access for small businesses so that even small businesses can get an access to the market. And the next one is promoting accountability, like CP Grams and Samadhan Didi. This was in the news just a few days ago. I would like to revisit the news, Samadhan Didi, and talk about it in the comment section. These ensure that citizen grievances are addressed in a time-bound manner. That citizens don't keep on um, stammering and scattering here and there for the redressal of their grievances. That they are redressed timely and addressed timely. Then there is improving accessibility. For improving accessibility, we have the example of Umang app. It is a single digital gateway for the government services, and it has expanded from 166 services since 2017 to 2,572 services in June 2025. Then the other example is Telemanas. This is for free telecounseling and mental health support nationwide. And these are a few significances of e-governance in India. Now, let's talk about the digital divides. Even though digital access has improved drastically, there is still a digital divide that we cannot deny. A lot of kids still cannot study on their phone. A lot of people still cannot access the internet. And there are challenges that remain between us. Oxfam India report of 2022 says that women constitute only one third of internet users in India. Two-thirds are just men. So there is a gender gap, first of all. Secondly, the IMAI Internet in India report says that there is rural exclusion. 51% of rural population still does not access the internet. Women constitute only one third of internet users. Then we talk about digital literacy. Only 34% of India's population is classified as digitally literate. People have mobile phones, people have the access, but almost one third of them don't even know how to use it. Then there are privacy concerns. The US firm Resecurity, you do not have to remember the name of the firm, it has reported that 81 crore Indian Aadhaar details have been found on the dark web. This is actually a sad state of affairs. There is no digital privacy. Once you are on the digital platform, your life is an open book. Even your Aadhaar card is not safe. So the US firm is called Resecurity. It works on cybersecurity concerns, and it has reported that 81 crore Indian Aadhaar card details have been found on the dark web. Then we come to the linguistic barriers. The user experience suffers due to limited language support and access for persons with disabilities. There are people who are disabled, and for them, the digital platforms have still not become exclusive. Let us talk about the cyber frauds and the path ahead. This is another one of the digital concerns, that cyber fraud losses surged to 2,92,800 crore in 2023 and 2024. And this is fourfold. This has a four-time jump from the previous years. And the source is not some random platform. The source is RBI. RBI says that the cyber frauds have costed four times what they costed in losses a few years ago. This is nearly a four-time jump. Now, what is the way forward? What is the solution to all of this? Number one is bridging the digital divide, closing the gap in the access of internet, and bridging the digital connectivity, divide, digital literacy. For that, we have the Bharat Net. This is the first way forward. Second is promoting digital literacy. Digital literacy. For that, we have PMG Disha. The PMG Disha stands for Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan. This imparts digital literacy training and covers 6 crore rural households. This is only for rural. You have to remember this. This is for rural households. While BharatNet is for connecting the last mile. There is a last mile connectivity. Next is promoting digital literacy. Pradhan Mantri, we have talked about this, right? Next is ensuring inclusive digital access. That is voice-based interface and language software that will actually cater to the disabled people. And the next one is DPDP Act. What is the DPDP Act? Let us talk about the DPDP Act. The DPDP Act is actually very important to protect your data from the, first of all, it enables that your data can be accessed, it can be corrected, and can even be erased if you need it to be. Second is that if you have a request, it should be addressed within 90 days. And third is that it has a mandate that breach notifications will be sent to you in case there is a breach in the network and your data is unsafe. Notifications will be sent to you so that you can be safe from the harm. And the last one is it provides special safeguard to children and people with disabilities. This is the DPDP Act. Next one, quantum key distribution. Now, what is the quantum key distribution? This is something that I will urge you to go ahead and find out on your own, because I want you to be attentive in the class. I want you to find out things and do tasks on your own. So, quantum key distribution is something you will find out. However, we have written some description over here that it enhances cybersecurity framework with an advanced encryption. This has something to do with encryption. Like you send the messages in form A and the messages are received in form A. But during the transfer, the messages do not travel in form A. They travel in encrypted format, which is form Z, that nobody else can read unless it reaches the end user. That is the encryption. Now let's talk about the next thing. The second news is NEP, the National Education Policy 2020, and three language formula and the controversy related around it. Now, the controversy has occurred over introducing a third language. From class 6, NEP tries to introduce a third language, and there's an unresolved contradiction that we will talk about right now. When we talk about national education policy or policy of 2020, there's a feature in it that says that English is extremely important. English is more important than any other foreign language in current day and time, be it for employability, be it for communication, be it for networking. English is extremely important, and national education policy does recognize it. However, it recognizes two more things: that a child from class 6 onward should learn three languages, and two of these languages should be Bharatiya, that is Indian languages. Now, suppose there is a child who is learning French as a second language alongside English. If that child has to learn three languages, two of which have to be Bharati and one of them is English, that child suddenly had to let go of French. Now, this letting go of French suddenly will implicate the way child learns and his education and his interests. And this new language, Bharati language, would be entirely new to them. So, this is where the controversy is actually arising from. The National Education Policy 2020 gives a special importance of English in maths, science, and legal education, the importance of English in various aspects as a medium of learning also. Yet it advocates the three language formula with two languages required to be native to India, effectively relegating English to foreign language status. So English has been given the status of a foreign language after this. When we talk about CBSE implementation, CBSE has introduced three languages from class 6 onwards, and two of them must be Bharatiya, as I told you. Following the backlash, classes 7 to 9 need only one additional Bharatiya language because there was a huge backlash. Doing two languages was not feasible. And the third language that we are talking about will not be tested in the class 10 board exams. This is the current solution that CBSE has reached. The significance and challenges and way ahead. When we talk about language, languages help in cognitive development. Languages, learning new languages helps you think better. UNESCO recognizes that multilingual kids, that is multilingualism, is a tool for enhanced learning outcomes. People who learn multiple languages have great performance and outcomes. Second is national integration. It fosters cultural understanding and unity across linguistic regions. The more languages you know, the more people you'll be connected to, the more regions you'll be able to understand, and there will be linguistic unity. Preserving languages. India has 197 endangered language. This is very important fact. 197 endangered language. You can use this in your mains answer writing. And this has been given as a fact in the UNESCO Atlas. India has 197 endangered languages in the UNESCO Atlas. There's a scheme for protection of endangered languages which covers 117 languages. Career opportunities, when we talk about the language proficiency, is linked to employability. The better you are at your languages, the more employable you are. The more you are adept at English, the more you can be employable at international firms. And the more adept you are at your native language, the more eligibility you will feel in your native examinations. For example, ODI is compulsory for Odisha Civil Services. Let's talk about challenges. When we talk about challenges, there's a lot of political resistance. You know, we always fight about languages. Andhra Pradesh was the first state created because of the linguistic reasons. So you know how crucial languages are towards people's identities. So obviously there is going to be clashes around it, and that is exactly what is happening. So Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Karnataka, and Kerala have opposed the policy. There is a teacher shortage as well. This is one aspect that has been overlooked. You might include more curriculum and more languages, but how will you include more teachers when there is a shortage? The census of 2011 says that 121 languages spoken by 10,000 plus people. Niti Aayog says that only 10 to 15% of government school teachers score above 60% in their own subject. How will they learn and teach a new language? Academic burden. There's a risk of adversely affecting the class 10th board exams also. Class 10 board performance has a shortage of learning material and high implementation cost. Now, the next news is related to, can SIR lead to denial of services? Now, what is SIR? SIR is actually a complete and fresh preparation of the electoral rolls. It goes to house enumeration is done, and then the electoral rolls are completely revised. So when current rolls become outdated, inaccurate, and they require complete rebuilding, typically before the major elections like the administrative exercises such as delimitation of constituencies are done, before that these happen, and these actually completely revamp the electoral rolls. Also, it is a routine annual updating of draft rolls published. Routinely, the draft rolls that have been published are updated annually. Let's focus on the word annually here, and let's focus on the word house to house enumeration. You don't have to go to a particular center to get that done. People come house to house. And in annual updating, there is no door to door visit. This is a very important difference. Then we talk about the special revision. This is the intensive revision, which is done house to house. This is the summary revision, which is done annually and not house to house. And then there's the special revision. It happens in exceptional cases, like if areas are missed, there is a large error, and there is a legal or political contingency or exigency. And this happens under section 21, third clause of RP Act 1950. Okay, this is important. This is called the special revision. Let's talk about the legal and constitutional framework of this. Article, Article 324, Clause A. Article 334, Clause A grants the ECI superintendent's direction and control of election to Parliament. The Parliament. So ECI has the superintendent's direction and control over elections of Parliament and state legislature. Right? The ADR and the ECI. Let us talk about this also a little bit. So, we have had different cases, and we will not study the cases in detail here because those will be related to optional also. The ADR and ECI case says that Supreme Court held that the Election Commission has the power to conduct the SIR under Article 325 of the Constitution and read with Representation of the People Act. This is read together with the rules. So SIR satisfies three requirements of proportionality. First is that it maintains credible electoral process through accuracy of electoral rolls so that the credibility and the trust is restored. Secondly, it is a means pursued that is not excessive. So simple house-to-house enumeration, verification, and scrutiny, it is not invasive. It is simply a simple means that is not excessive. Third is it is a least restrictive option. That the only option that curbs the least amount of freedom. Any other thing would be more problematic. So SER fulfills all these three requirements. Next will be BRICS Summit in India and the key facts of it. Let us talk about the BRICS Summit. So India is currently the world's third largest importer of oil. According to the International Energy Agency, India is what the third largest importer of oil. And now India imports crude oil from around 40 countries. It was already the third largest importer, and it is now importing from 40 countries. And as a result of all this diversification, about 70% of crude imports are now coming from the routes outside of the Strait of Hormuz, compared to about 55% earlier. So earlier, around 55% of the crude oil was outside Strait of Hormuz, but the remaining amount of 45% was coming from the Strait of Hormuz. But now the imports have been diversified, and that is why we have less dependency on the Strait of Hormuz, which is actually very problematic at times. Okay, whenever there's a state of war, it comes under control of some or the other country. Let's talk about LPG also. India is the second largest importer of LPG, right? India is the second largest importer of LPG. It imports 60% of LPG consumption. Only 40% is produced domestically. And out of these imports, 90% imports are dependent on the Strait of Hormuz route. This route is actually very impacted due to the current occurrences, due to warfare, due to the international issues. And the majority of this LPG that is coming from the Strait of Hormuz is from the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Oman. So for the crude oil in LPG, we are trying to reduce our dependence on the Strait of Hormuz route and the Gulf countries. So this is where BRICS comes in action. Let us talk about BRICS. So the term BRICS was coined by economist Jim O'Neill in 2001. So this means emerging markets combined together and hence coming under the term of BRICS. In 2006, there was a formal cooperation that started at the G8 Outreach Summit. This was the first one. And the first official summit was conducted in Russia, where the BRICS acronym was adopted in 2009. And in 2010, South Africa was admitted. In 2024, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and UAE joined the BRICS Plus. BRICS Plus is an informal name. Be very careful around it. BRICS is the formal name still. And in 2025, Indonesia joins as the first South Asian member. This is very important. The first added member was South Africa, and the first Southeastern member was 2025 में Indonesia, right? Also, the BRICS, India had BRICS chairmanship, and the India's BRICS chairmanship theme is building for resilience, innovation, and cooperation and sustainability. Four things: resilience, innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. And recently, the meetings of BRICS were held in New Delhi, Gurugram, Varanasi, Agra, Indore. These are the places where meetings were held. This can be a multi-statement question where you have to remember the cities: New Delhi, Gurugram, Banaras, Agra, and Indore, and four words for the chairmanship theme: building for resilience, innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. So in New Delhi, there was a National Security Advisors meeting. Please write it down. New Delhi National Security Advisors meeting. In Gurugram, Haryana, there was an Energy Ministers meeting. Energy Ministers meeting. In Varanasi, there was a Culture Working Group meeting. That is Culture Working Group meeting. In Agra, there was a BRICS MSME Forum. BRICS MSME Forum. In Indore, there was Agriculture Ministers meeting. Agriculture Ministers meeting. Also, let us talk about resilience. When we talk about resilience as an aim, as a theme, we talk about strengthening the economic and social and institutional resilience to navigate the global uncertainties. These are uncertain times. We have to be resilient. The global uncertainties, the supply chain disruptions, the health challenges, and the climate crisis. When we talk about innovation, we just talked about technology. Deploying new and emerging technologies such as digital public infrastructure, fintech, AI, knowledge sharing, all of these to enable the effective service delivery and future-ready growth of the BRICS nations. Then we talk about cooperation, which means deepening the multilateral engagement amongst all the BRICS members by enhancing our policy coordination, by development, finance, trade facilitation, reform in global institutional governance, and through people-centric partnerships, not just government-centric. And lastly, we talk about sustainability, which is actually something very important in this age and era because all the resources, all the living beings are being depleted gradually. So sustainability by accelerating collective efforts towards climate action, green finance, energy transitions, and sustainable development aligned with national and global priorities. These are all the things we have to talk about when we talk about the India's chairmanship theme of the BRICS nation. This was all about BRICS. Let's progress towards the next news. Before talking about the next news, I told you about the four key pillars of India BRICS partnership, and it is very well mentioned here. You can take a screenshot also. Now let us talk about the most interesting news today. The most interesting news is that the IIP has grown and yet we are not happy about it. It poses more questions than answers. So in the last 5 months, IIP has grown many folds and it has hit the top that it has ever hit. IIP growth hit a 5-month high. In the 5 months, this is the highest, which is 5.1% in May of 2026. This is because manufacturing also grew at 5.5%. However, this does not show the real market of India because the 8 core industrial sectors, that is 8 core sectors, have not grown as much. They grew at the second lowest rate in 21 months in May. In the past 21 months, the lowest and the second lowest now. The second lowest is the rate of growth of all the 8 core industries, but in the past 5 months, highest in the 5 months is the growth of IIP, that is the index of industrial production. Now IIP has grown, but the 8 core industries have declined. This shows a deviation. This shows a concern about the measurement of the consistency. Now, what are the key concerns that we face? First of all, is that India is a consumption-based market. If the consumption grew up and if the Indian market is doing well, then the IIP could grow. But the consumption is not doing well. The IIP has grown because of the export demand. The GST revenues from domestic transactions are slower. The merchandise export has hit an all-time high in May, and this export-led growth is showing in IIP. Second is that Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has switched from the WPI to the PPI, that is Producer Price Index. In WPI and PPI, there's a slight difference. In the PPI, it only calculates the production and the consumption and not the in-between costs incurred. Hence, it is more effective. It acts as a deflator. But the timing, why suddenly PPI, is being questioned right now. About IIP, when we talk about, it is published monthly, not annually, not quarterly. It is published monthly by the National Statistical Office in the MOSPI ministry. The base year, which was earlier 2011-2012, has been updated to 2022 to 2023, and it now includes gas, water, sewage, waste management, minor minerals, and renewable versus non-renewable electricity generation. And here are the few of the 8 core industries that have grown slowly and compile around 40% of the industry. So this was it for now. This was it for today's session. These are the few news articles that you should be reading and taking care of. Take notes, write your answers, and prepare well for mains as well. Till then, I'll be taking your leave, and tomorrow I'll be coming with the all new session with few more topics for mains and prelims preparation. Thank you.